Okay, guys, I am super excited to welcome our next guest to Let's Get Freaky. We have got Paul Ieson with us tonight. How are you, sir?
Oh, well, I'm alive. I'm here.
That's
I'm not
that's
dead yet.
I am very excited to talk to you. We just briefly talked a little bit before recording, and I'm already very excited. I already know I'm going to enjoy this. So, uh, where did it all start for you, man, with the paranormal?
With the paranormal?
Yeah.
You want to start at the paranormal? Okay.
Oh, we'll start with whereabouts are you in the US? I like to start with
Oh,
that.
well, I am Northwest Ohio,
Okay.
which is on the border of Michigan. So I'm near Detroit and Toledo, Ohio, um, Lake Erie.
Oh,
That
cool.
gives you a better um, way to go there. I know you guys are across the pond from me.
Yeah.
So, try to help you out as best as I can there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's currently cold and snowy.
Yeah. Same here. We've had snow today. Oh, that's cool though, man. I love all the US. I want to live in the US one day. I think it's a cool place.
Get Biden out of office, it may just turn
Yeah.
into a cool place again.
Yeah. Well, you never know this year. We'll see what happens.
So my first experiences with the paranormal. Oh man, dude. What branch of the paranormal do you want to go to?
Well,
Because
I would like to go if we can from the start. Where did it all start for you as a kid? Did you have experiences as a kid?
oh yeah, and yes and no. Every kid's got their spook stories, and every kid's got their um, things where they get, I don't know, they get scared. When I was a kid, I was always into like the show Kolchak, the Night Stalker. That's really all there was. Twilight Zone, and Star Trek, and all that kind of happy stuff. Um, from there, I think it went to I don't know where to go with that.
Well, you mentioned I just want to get into it because you mentioned before we started recording time travel, and
Yeah.
I'm very excited to get into this, man. Can we get
Oh,
in? Can we
okay.
get into that?
We can get into that. I'm an author too, guys.
Yeah.
Through Amazon. I've got two books that are out. I can show you the old cover of the one that this cover right here. This
Oh,
cover
wow.
Brian did.
Oh, wow. That's
There's a
cool.
new cover to the book, but it's hanging on the wall, and I'm not going to go out and grab that. This book here, it's sort of thin, but it's all about what I've done in time travel. But it's in a story, and it's fictionalized in a story. The long story short, okay, my grandparents came here. They're off world, and my mother and her sister were born before they got here. And myself, my mother married a human, full blooded, and that's how I got here. I am, as far as I'm concerned, a damn experiment. Um, I've been abducted from the time they've messed with me since I was a little kid. They've abducted me, and I think I started traveling when I was like 15 years old, and it was just something I could do. I can't really explain how I can do it, other than the fact that I can just think it and I'll go. Um, it's really not all that fascinating to me. I've been as far back as 1860. Well, not even that. Yeah, 1813.
Wow.
1812. I've been back to there. Maybe even before that. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. And I've been as far ahead as 2036, where some really interesting things happen. And you have to understand that from reality to reality, things change. From the original reality I am in, the Twin Towers came down. Well, only one tower came down. And it didn't come down from terrorism, but it did come down because a plane smashed into it. That's the difference between realities. In my reality, in one of the realities that I ended up being in when I was on Route 10 uh, in Flagstaff, Arizona, uh, everybody stopped and they looked towards Yellowstone, and Yellowstone went poof in 2030, May of 2036. Okay. In this reality, uh, Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever that the physicist is saying, he's talking about how Apophis is going to hit in May. So same result, but a different way of things happening.
Wow, man. Wow. How often
I
you, sorry,
Go ahead.
how often you going into different realities? I mean, how does that happen?
I'm not going to really get into how to travel between realities. People at this point seem to be having trouble with that in the first place. Uh, Hence, you get your Mandela effects and that sort of thing. Would you really want somebody to tell somebody how to go to a different reality, and that person not knowing who they are, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, want to use it to try to promote themselves? Do you really want that information out there?
I mean, um, it's dangerous, I can imagine, but
It's very
I'm
dangerous.
very curious. Wow, though, man.
You know, it's dangerous. It's not as dangerous as you might think it is. Let me ask you a question. Do you love Doctor Who? Being over there,
Uh,
I am a
I
avid
know.
fan of that.
I mean, I've seen a bit of Doctor Who. I can't say I'm the biggest fan, but I mean, I like the concept of what it's all about.
Well, when he talks about bubble realities and he talks about pocket realities,
Yeah,
and he talks about alternate realities, all three of those are real, can be real. There's other places like the void or the Netherland. In Peter Pan, it was the Netherlands. That's the space in between spaces. Those are all real. But where I would think I was going with this is that, like, for example, if I went back to when I was before I was born and I killed my mother, that would immediately put me into another timeline
yeah.
that would end up being a dead reality where it would go and it would stop whenever it is that I died after that. And the same timeline that I jumped from would continue on. But I would experience something totally different. And uh, I don't really know how to explain it further than that to be technical about it.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day about how the smallest things can impact so much. So like
No,
the tiniest things that the decisions we make can change.
no,
No.
no. Um, the reason is because if you went back, let's say you went back 10 years or 5 years, and you
Yeah.
have all the memory of all the things you just did. So you have the memory in your head of hitting a table and knocking those plates over and they shattered all over the floor. So you didn't hit the table. Somebody else will hit the table and knock those glass and plates down and break them.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the way that works. It doesn't always happen at the same exact moment, doesn't always happen even the same day, but it will happen.
Yeah. If it's meant to happen, it will happen.
It just because it's I don't know, it sounds stupid saying this, but it's cause and effect.
Yeah. When you went back to the time in the 1800s, was it as we see it now? Was it like how we're told it? I know it wasn't that long ago. Obviously, it's a few hundred years, a couple of hundred years ago now. But was it as we would imagine it to be?
Um, Got to be a little bit more specific. What era are you referring to?
So what did you say you went back to 18? What year was it?
1813, 1812.
1813. Would it, how we see it in the history books today and the pictures that we see and how they explain it to have been then, is that how it was?
Basically, um, slight variations. Uh, in my neck of the woods, for the most part, slavery was non-existent, but there were slaves. At least where I come from, there were slaves in the North. Some people will argue that. Uh, by 1860, um, the war history teaches things completely different from the way that it actually happened.
Yeah.
This isn't about race whatsoever. I'm going to make this absolutely freaking clear right now. Um, the North was upset that cotton and other things cost so much money by the time it got to them. And in the South, they didn't have to pay so much money. So the North wanted to put a flat tax on everything. The South said no, they weren't going to do it. They ended up wanting to secede over this from the rest of the country. And then the North was losing money. They were fighting a war. They were trying to win, but they were losing money. And they said, okay, well, we are going on top of the tax for your cotton. We are going to tax every slave that you have, be it white, black, Irish, whoever they were using as slaves, because they used everybody for slaves, not just black people. And the South said, no, that's not going to happen. So they fought for another 2 years. And the North lost. They ran out of money and they lost. The South was devastated. It was all screwed up. Um, and the North said, well, we want our money for the slaves and we want our money for the tax for the cotton and so on. And South said, no, this is when everything ended. And so the North said, and Lincoln said, okay, well, then we're going to make slavery illegal. How do you like them apples?
Yeah. When you was
And
when sorry.
uh, you got to understand, this is the time when everybody had slaves.
Yeah.
The North had slaves. The politicians had slaves. You know, it was a common thing for people to have slaves. I don't agree with it. I've never agreed with it. Um, and I've never agreed with the fact that people say, oh, it was just black people that were slaves, because it wasn't. But anyway,
Yeah, man.
the other thing about that I think someone somewhere helped out with is at the beginning of the Civil War, uh, it was muskets. People were using muskets basically. At the end of the war, they were using revolvers and rifles with the bullets that were encased in the copper casing and firing their weapons that way. That change came about overnight. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Wow. So when you was in this period and experiencing this time, do you know how long you was there for? Was it an in and out thing, or was you there for a certain amount of time?
Um, During the Civil War, I was there off and on. I went back a few times. Uh, 1813, I was there for a couple weeks. Uh, so, but what I experienced is a couple weeks or a few months or whatever might only when I come back to whatever time period that I would want to come back to, I may have only been gone a day,
Yeah.
or I may have overshot and been gone a year. You never want to come back before you left. That causes big problems.
When you're there, are you in the body that you're in now?
The
Or you
body I've always been in. I don't regenerate. This isn't
yeah.
Doctor Who
So yeah. Yes, yeah.
here. It's not Doctor
Yeah, is
Who.
it like Doctor Who where he can go to another place and you're in another body basically? Or
No,
you're your body, you're you
no.
there.
I'm always me. Now I might when I go back, if I went back 30 years from the time that I am,
Yeah.
I may appear as I'm 30 years old because I'm 60 now, but I might appear as I'm 30 years old.
Okay.
And I get to grow old again if I stay in the same timeline and I don't do anything. So in that fashion, I can get older than what my driver's license says.
Wow. Wow,
But
man.
no, there's no I don't regenerate, man.
Yeah.
It's not TV at all.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been off world. I've never fought Cybermen.
Not yet.
AI,
Wow.
there's
Yeah.
AI that you need to worry about. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We can get into that.
and
Wow, man.
the other thing about 2036, it's communist. The country's communist.
Okay.
Communism has taken over the United States.
Interesting, man. So when you going forward, what can you share about? Did you say 2036? Was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
that's when it's
the
communist.
other times that I have been forward, the past. Okay. Um, it's like I didn't know that Biden was going to be president. I knew Trump was going to be president. I didn't know Biden was going to be president. I thought Trump was going to be the last president
Okay.
because that's what I experienced. Turns out Biden's going to be the last president.
Interesting, man. So it can change the future that you're in at that time can actually change.
It's
Things can happen.
I don't change anything. It's bouncing between realities and creating something new in a new timeline that changes things.
Wow,
And
man.
in layman's terms, every time that you go to sleep, part of you leaves and you go into the dream, what they call the dream time, which is actually just another place, lower level of astral. And sometimes when you come back, you don't come back into the same reality that you left. And that's why things seem so bonky the first few hours when you wake up somewhere and
Yeah.
things don't seem right. And everything is all the realities. It's like an accordion, that you can bring it out and coming back in. And each reality is next to the other one. And people assume that the accordion's stretched out when it's not stretched out. The accordion is smushed together. The only time that you would stretch it out is when you decide that you are in 2024 and you want to go somewhere else. So you find a specific spot to go to, and so you make your jump across. Um, and like I said before, those are those spaces between spaces. And people who don't know how to jump, who have jumped, can end up in what's called the void or the moment. In magic, it's known as the moment. The Netherland. And you have just created a pocket universe until you manage to find your way out. And it only exists as long as you are there. And when you leave, it collapses.
Wow. Can people switch through these realms by mistake without even knowing
Yes.
in sleep?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you're never
Wow.
really the wiser. I mean,
Yeah.
when you consider the reason this works so well is because this is nothing but a dream in the first place. Magic wouldn't work if it wasn't a dream. Um, everything that you are, everything that you do, you create with right up here in your head. And everything is you, and everything that you observe is a part of you, but it is a mass consciousness that has created the reality that we live in.
Wow,
If
man.
that, if you understand where I'm going with that,
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible stuff, man.
it's not
So
something you haven't heard before. I think you've heard some of it before.
I've heard it before. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I often think when we see entities and things like that, glimpses of shadow figures, stuff like that, are we seeing a quick glimpse into another realm or whatever it is?
You're seeing bleed over. When you see a ghost, you're seeing bleed over from their world.
Yeah.
You know, shadow creatures. They come right up to the veil, and they push through it and observe, and then they
Yeah.
back off.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like sometimes they see you and they're just as shocked as well.
Yeah,
Is
because
that?
they didn't mean to do it. No, I'm saying,
Yeah.
whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, man. So if you, for example, tonight, if you wanted to, if you could say, I want to go to 2040, could you make that happen?
I could, but I won't. Right now, I'm comfortable where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And this
don't think
is
I would.
it's this ain't the first time I've been through what I am now with my wife, my grandkid, the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
Things happened before, and it didn't end well. Um, not with my family, not with the country, not with your country. It didn't end well, and it's just as much spoiler as I'm going to put to that.
Yeah.
So, I'm back. I'm doing it again because that's what I want to do. And
Yeah, man. It's so interesting.
dead air.
Yeah, no, I find it so interesting, man. I'm not sure if I would go to because it scares me. I find it fascinating, and I know you say that we it happens without us even knowing, and that does make sense. Like you do wake up from certain dreams where you're like that was weird, and it felt so real, and things do feel different, and it goes with what you're saying. And the Mandela effects that we've got. There's so many Mandela effects out there, even the small ones. There's some big ones. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Like, there's several people who I know have died before, and they're back, and then they die again, and then they're back. Like Bob Barker, that game show host. He's
Yeah.
died one, two or three times,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah. It's like when you're talking about a celebrity and everyone in the room says, oh, they passed. Yeah. Yeah. And then you Google it and they're not. They're like, they're still, and you're like, oh, that's weird. I'm sure I remember, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Wow, man. Wow. So you've experienced this your whole life. When did you sort
I've
of realize you could do that? Did you
when
just always?
my mother of all people told me, accused me of it, told me shit. So that's how I got into it. And they sat me down at my grandparents' house with just my mother and explained some things to me and never said anything else to me again about it. And being abducted, uh, reptilian is the species behind my abductions. And I think that they are probably part of the ability. They want to see what I'm going to do, how I'm going to act. Can they force me to do whatever type of thing? That's what this is all about, because this is all one reality,
Yeah.
this book. And yeah, this all really, most 90% of everything in this book, Twisted Life, Time Slips, Reality Shifts, and Aliens. It's on Amazon. That's 90% of this book is real.
Wow, man.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to be
Uh,
reading it, that's for sure.
and the other book, Immortals Among Us, I'm just going to bring that up. Immortals Among Us, Life as a Human. That's all about the old pagan gods, the children of the old pagan gods who live amongst us, and you don't even know that they're here. That's what that book is. And then I've got a sequel coming out to that book called Alien Apocalypse, which is totally 100% made up. Yeah,
But it
because
sounds good though, man.
there's lizards and Bigfoot and shapeshifters in it, and you know,
Everything I love.
the
Everything I
lizards
love.
want to, yeah, the lizards want to take over the world in this book, and the Anunnaki keep them from doing that, and Bigfoot is friends with the Anunnaki and joins in the fight, and all that kind of
That sounds
cool
good to
stuff.
me, man. That sounds cool to me for sure. Can I get into your abductions and how that started for you and what sort of things, if you don't mind sharing, what was you experiencing?
There's not a whole lot that I remember of the abduction thing, other than like I'm in the back of my parents' um, car, was station wagon, as a matter of fact. And I'm, back in the day, I'm like 3, 4 years old, and I'm in the back of the station wagon. It's all flat and empty, and there is no car seat, there is no anything like this. But I'm back there, and we're stopped at a stoplight, um, and right across the road there is this van, well, not a van per se, but a truck, and it's a circus truck. And these circus clowns get out, and they're pointing at me, and I'm yelling at my mother to turn the gas, put her foot on the gas and get going. And the next thing I remember is waking up in my room, and my mother knew what happened to me and said I was gone for a good 3 days. And that's the type of thing that would continue with me. You know, I would get abducted and be gone from school, and my mother would just tell the school that I am sick. And she explained shit to my dad, who was in the Navy before they got married. And he didn't really believe it until he saw things happen.
Wow. What sort
You
of things
know,
did he see you? He see you get taken?
he didn't see me be taken, but the things the government says doesn't exist, you've seen it. He's seen the ships and um, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
like, how do you explain a 4-year-old child going into the bedroom? The house, there's only one more house that we lived out in the boonies at the time. There's only one other house. And you walk into the bedroom, put the kid to bed, and the next parent goes in to hug the kid and kiss him goodnight and whatever, and the kid's gone. How else do I
Yeah.
mean, over and over and over, this would happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Wow. And when you was taken for 3 days, however long it was.
I really don't have the memory of what happened when I was taken,
Yeah.
other than I know my abductors. That much I can remember, that much I know.
Yeah.
I don't really have any memory outside of that. Uh, that and the fact that I do know that, unlike Doctor Who, not to compare anything to Doctor Who, but the diamond shaped walls that would collapse and expand because the ships are bigger on the inside. Um, and you can witness that just by watching the orbs in the sky, shrink and then get bigger and then separate.
Yeah.
Um, and they occupy the reason they can't be seen on radar 90% of the time, even though a pilot of a jet or something might see them, is because they're in the same space, but not occupying the same space, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
They're like in between spaces and they're bleeding through. And that's where you get all the fuzz because they're bleeding through.
Wow.
And the triangle ships are the world government. The governments of the world own the triangle ships. That much I can tell you. And I'm not going to tell you why on air.
Okay.
I'll just say
Let's-
that.
Can we save that for after?
We'll
Don't
save
want to
that for
know,
after.
man.
We'll save that for after.
Awesome, man. Wow. Well, so the entities that were taken, you said they were reptilians,
Insectoid.
insectoids.
The praying mantis looking creepy ass clicking. They communicate with clicks or they communicate telepathically and they can project anything they want you to see into your head, but they're only this tall. In reality, they're only 6 inches tall.
Really?
Yep. But they would have you think that that they're 8 and 10 feet tall, but they're only 6 inches tall.
Wow, man. Did you see these creatures?
I have seen them. I have talked with them several times. I had them floating outside in my backyard one night about 4 years ago.
And are they talking to you telepathically?
Yeah,
Man.
because when they don't talk telepathically, they click, and it's kind of like, and then, how insects click to tell each other certain things.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. Can you sort of explain what they look like?
You know what a praying mantis looks like?
It's exactly what we know as a praying mantis to look like.
It's not exactly like that, but it's as close as I can.
Yeah.
It's a cross between a mantis and a walking stick, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, man. That's so interesting that they're only 6 inches tall.
They're
Did
only 6 inches tall,
yeah.
but their abilities can take a ship that's, I don't know, the size of a beach ball and expand that son of a bitch and make it bigger for whatever they need to make it bigger.
Yeah.
You know, um, they're that far advanced.
It's incredible, man. How often would you have experiences with these creatures?
As a child, um, I know it happened quite often. As a teenager, it happened 2 or 3 times. As an adult, in my 20s, um, at 18, I developed epilepsy. 26, it was gone. Thanks to them. They fixed that problem. I've got implant here and an implant here that floats. It floats. Sometimes it's on this side of my arm. Sometimes it's over here.
Is that just a piece of metal that you can
It,
feel?
it's like a piece of rice, only it, it's probably a 1/4 inch long, and it's pretty skinny,
Yeah.
but it floats all over the place.
Do you know what that's doing? Do you know what that's used for?
I do not know, but I know I've taken a nice, powerful magnet to it. So whether it's still working or not, I couldn't tell you.
Interesting, man. So are these entities a good thing in your life, or are they a negative because they helped you with the epilepsy? But are they what
They
what are
are
they
a
here for?
hindrance. They are a hinder. They've always been a pain in my ass.
Okay.
Always.
So,
As a
so
kid, you're pretty scared of something like that. As an
yeah,
adult,
for sure.
there's no fear there anymore. But they are a pain in my ass. You know, as far as business transactions, what they would consider the communication business transactions are concerned, that I won't discuss.
Okay.
Um,
Is it
so
is it always them, or is there greys involved? Reptilians?
no, reptiles. I've only dealt with reptiles that are from this world. I haven't.
Interesting.
I've not dealt with a blue avian, and those are the off-world. They came from here, but they were given the choice, and they reside off-world now. And just the small gray aliens, they are totally biological androids, is what you would call it, robots, AI. They are biological AI. There you go. And the taller grays are maybe half.
Interesting, man. Is that possibly us in the future? Is a
No,
is a no?
not the grays I'm speaking of. Now, online you see these really tall, built gray aliens that I think is probably fake footage anyway. I don't know who they are.
Okay. So you said about reptilians that are from our Earth that are amongst us. Is is that right? There's reptilians that are on our Earth living amongst us now.
That's what the claim is. Um, as far as I know, they simply I'm trying to think of how delicately to put it. Um, know how Biden has been accused of wearing a mask,
Yeah,
and some of the other politics. Well, there you go.
yeah. Okay.
Uh, they're from the underground. They've been there since the Earth shifted its axis. That's why they went underground. And they've always had, I don't know, interminglings with people. But if we talk like we're talking right now, 60, 70, 80 years ago, there would be a nice little hospital bed for you with a straitjacket.
Yeah, yeah,
And they always counted on that.
yeah. Yeah, man. I've got a friend that was on the London Underground, and he witnessed a man sitting opposite him. He looked into his eyes, and he said that his eyes flashed to like a reptile's eyes, and then flashed back to human eyes. That was a friend of mine that witnessed that.
I've never witnessed it. I've seen video of it, but there's so much AI out there, so much CGI out there.
Yeah, yeah,
People fake shit so often that I don't pay attention to anything on video
yeah,
unless it's like a volcano going off, like in what was it, Iceland the other day.
yeah,
That stuff I can trust is real footage. There was just something that happened in Miami, Florida. Are you aware about that?
yeah,
Well,
yeah. In the
yeah.
mall, in the mall.
Well, there's an interesting thing about that. If you take the coordinates of the mall and you flip those coordinates around, where do you land? Antarctica.
Really?
So there's one of two possibilities. Either, well, three possibilities. Either they left Antarctica and went to the mall to steal people and bring them back to Antarctica, or wherever they came from, they screwed up and ended up at the mall and then left and went to Antarctica.
Yeah. I mean that has been a crazy story that's come out very recently.
You know,
I
Angel from PSN, I talked to him about it.
Yeah,
He told me that, oh, it was Homeland Security, and that's why they shut the airport down, and that's why they cut everybody's power, and that's why there was 200 police cars, and all this kind of stuff. And I said, no, not even for Homeland Security. Are they going to do that for five teenagers with sticks fighting each other?
yeah, yeah.
You know, there's just something that's not right about it.
Very strange.
And if it also media blackout about it, I mean, it makes sense if it was a screw up in Antarctica that got the aliens there in the first place.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Interesting.
It's
People,
all conjecture. I can't guarantee.
yeah,
I really don't know. I'm just, making
yeah, no,
conversation.
that's cool, man. It's cool because none of us know the full story of it. Even if it was kids fighting, I've not actually seen any videos of that. I've not seen any videos of kids fighting.
Yeah, there's no video of, and usually there's video of
Yeah,
kids
you would have
doing
thought you'd
stupid shit
see
like
that.
that.
Yeah, you would have thought you'd see that, and that was a heck of a lot of police for kids fighting, looting, setting off fireworks, whatever they was doing. But there was a lot of police
Well,
down there.
I know because it's so touristy that when something happens, you having 50 cops show up down there
Yeah,
in that town is nothing. But for 200 and black helicopters that I have not seen footage of,
yeah,
and for them shut down the airport, they admit shutting the airport down. They admit to cutting people's power. That makes no sense to me.
yeah.
What the hell was that about?
Very strange. And people was reporting seeing 8 to 10 foot tall entities that some describe as just being like shadow figures. How we would, how some are describing them, and
And how did I explain that? They were in the space, but they weren't residing in the same space.
yeah, yeah. Interesting, man. Well, definitely, it's definitely whatever happened that day there. It's very strange. I know there was some other sort of world news that was dropped that day that people are saying it could be to sort of keep you away from looking at that. Who knows? But very interesting indeed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, man. Where do we go?
where do we go?
I've
I
still got
mean,
so many questions.
uh, I don't know. Ask away.
So you
It's your
said
show, man.
your mother, yeah, your mother, you said is from off world, and
Hmm.
and that side of the
And my
family.
grandparents, they came from somewhere else, and they stopped. They first came to New Orleans, and then they traveled north.
Okay. Do you know
Yeah,
where they came from originally? Do you know what?
I was told when I was young. I don't have a clue now. I don't, and my mother won't tell me anything.
Okay.
She won't talk about it. We haven't really spoken in 25 years anyway. So,
Yeah. So
but
you,
here's an interesting fact.
yep.
Remember that human father of mine? She killed him.
Yes. Oh man.
I even tell you how she killed him. She took his heart medicine, his nitro, and dumped it in his glass of soda and gave it to him. Had my little sister walk across the deck of the boat and give it to him.
Oh
Now you
wow.
understand why I don't talk to my mom.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That is.
And then she married somebody that looked like Mr. Rogers. And then she got rid of him and married somebody that looked like um, Bob Newhart.
Oh
She
man.
just keeps stepping up. She wants more and more and more money.
Wow.
She's not married to Bob Newhart. But this guy, last name is Teljohn. But yeah, I'm just saying he's a lookalike. He looks like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like my ex-wife looked like Chrissy Hine
Okay.
from the Pretenders. It's just something genetic or something. I'm
Yeah.
attracted to. I went out with a look-alike of Valerie Bertinelli when I was 18. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so
Wow, man. So would your have you got a different blood type to to most people and stuff? I
I'm
don't.
O negative.
Okay. Wow, man. How this might be a difficult question. How many other people out there have got a similar sort of situation to yours? Would you say? And have you met a lot of other people?
Let's just put it this way: there's way more out there than you think, and they
Yeah.
are out there. And the majority of us will not tell anyone anything. It's like it's time. It's time to come out and talk to people about it. Brian has known me for almost 10 years. Him, Al, and Cindy, they've known the whole story. They know. And Cindy told me half of it. Who's Cindy, the psychic that they use. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
told me half of what about what was going on with me, and the whole thing um, with the last time that I did a major jump. She told me. So uh, whether you believe in psychics or not,
I do. I do. Wow, man. Can I ask you when the last time you know that you done a jump?
uh, this last year has been irritating because I'll jump from one reality into another reality, back into that reality, and it won't be willful. It's just something that happens. You know how you can walk into a room and the light switch, that there's only one light switch to the light. And instead of up, it's down. And then vice versa. Or something's not right with something as simple as going down the road and seeing something that is there that shouldn't be there because it was gone the year before.
Yeah. So
And
that,
then the next day, it's gone again. That's
oh
that's the
man.
type of it's like it fluctuates with me.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
it's fucking irritating.
Yeah. Wow, man. So it could be like a small thing that just tells you that it's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Is it something that you
Or
could?
or it's my publisher. I sent her the fucking book. She tells me I didn't, so I resend it to her. And then the next day she says, "What'd you send this to me again for?"
Oh man. Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. It must be difficult.
It's something that you cannot focus on. If you
Yeah,
focus on it, it will drive you insane. It's just something you just got to let go.
yeah. So have you done stuff like regression and stuff like that? And
No,
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 is
nope,
that something you would do or?
no. I got no use for it. I've been in the occult now for 40 years. And things like regression and being hypnotized and things is not something that interests me. Um, I don't see any use in anything like that other than for someone else on the other end to try to influence somebody.
Yeah, yeah, man. I said, obviously, doing this show, I talk to a lot of different people with
Yeah.
all sorts of different experiences, but you're not the first person that said a lot of what you're telling me tonight. And what's interesting is the people that I've spoke to people who have told me this and said like they don't want it out there, basically, that it's not something that they want me to share, which is fine. I don't
Well,
mind.
it's something that it's actually a very private experience, and then you get people out there who are con artists that make everybody believe that that's who they are, and they're going to tell you, like for example, that they were. This one guy says he was the kid that in the picture of what the hell was the name during the Civil War with Washington. Uh, he was he was supposed to be in his picture and things like that, and there's no way because kids, for one, weren't allowed anywhere near battle. Uh, for two, during that time period, when you had your photograph taken, you had to stand there for almost 5 minutes motionless because if you didn't, your picture would not show up on the glass negative because it
Yeah,
was still those great big box cameras with a glass negative, and they put the hood over the back of them, and you had to stand there for a good 5 minutes. And whenever somebody got their picture taken as a portrait, they sat there for 5 minutes before that glass was ever um, finished developing. Um, so
yeah,
you got to know a little bit about history to understand and debunk somebody. I'd love somebody to call bullshit on me because I won't necessarily do it on air, but I'll let them know.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I
How?
got so in depth about what happened with the war between the states because people don't understand that. And Trump understood it. That's why he made the comments that he did. And then the media attacks him and says, "Oh, it was just about slavery," when it's not.
Yeah,
So
I'm someone that believes a lot of our history that we're told is not as it was.
history is created by the people who won.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you're only going to hear one side, really.
You're only going to hear what they want you to know.
Yeah. How far back do you know that you've gone?
You've asked me that.
Is it was the 18 the start? That was the
Yeah,
start.
yeah. I don't personally, I don't want to go back any further. I don't go back any further. When you enter that reality, you are subject to their diseases. For
Okay. Yeah.
example, um, waterborne illness or the flu even will treat you different if you're not used to it than it did them. They were used to it. They grew up in it. They were in it. For me, it will kill me.
Yeah.
You don't get your shots like you would before you cross from America to Africa. There's nothing like that. Dysentery is a big thing back then. Now today we don't deal with dysentery. And polio was a disease born from people not having dysentery. Okay, because people suddenly became clean, and so their body could not react with filth, and they got the polio disease. That's why the vaccine is still mandated.
Yeah.
So there's the reasons why. Plus, if I go back 500 years and somebody sees me dressed the way that I am now, unlike in Doctor Who, they'll burn me at the fucking stake.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah,
And in
man.
this country, I don't know any Native American. So
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to communicate, and they're going to freak out. You know,
Yeah.
they've never seen a white man before. I'm not white, but still, I look white. They've never seen anything like me before. And so there's issues.
Yeah.
Um, and things are so alienated between the times that you can't go back 500 years without there being an issue, and you probably won't make it back.
Yeah.
Where you go back 200 years and you can still pull stuff out of your ass. It's like, oh well, you see this here that I came in, this is a secret project by the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we're working on.
This is what we got.
Three years later, steam engines come out, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, what I'm saying is like, okay, well, I can relate to these people enough to pull something out of my ass. It's like, I don't have any money, but I've got this cool big lighter that will last forever. You want it? Okay, I want something to eat in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who
So
cares about a
interesting, man.
lighter?
Yeah. So interesting, man. Can you, if you wanted to, could you go to another place? Like
What do you mean?
another part of the
Well,
world, if you wanted to go there? Or if you go back in time, forward or backwards, are you in the same place that you're in, but just in a different time zone?
I that's a good question. But your first question, could I go overseas if I wanted to and then go back in time? I first would have to go overseas to because you got that big ocean. I'm not going to be one to get on a wood ship and spend 6 months crossing the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, I've never done that. I've never been overseas ever. Uh, been to Canada, been to Mexico, and what was the other question?
So if you wanted to say, if you wanted to go to Africa, could you
No,
transport to there?
the question after that.
What was the question after?
Yeah, what was the question
Oh
after that?
man, I do this all the time. Like my head just goes and that's gone. It's gonna bug me when I listen back to it and I hear it.
Yeah, because it was a good question and I was going to answer it.
Oh, it might come back. It might come back. So I was saying, can you travel over to another place? Um, I said, are you when you move backwards or forwards? Are you're in the same place basically, but just in a different time zone?
Uh, yes and no. If I'm traveling, like if I'm traveling in a car or on my bike or whatever, motorcycle, I can like leave time now where I'm at and go somewhere else and be back in time wherever it is that I want to direct myself to go.
Okay.
But um, the same thing holds true with returning. However, the overseas part, yeah, I couldn't, I can't, and I can't just, you know, go to sleep and think I want to be in California. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way, you know. But you don't need a machine to do it. Okay, and that's the governments try to use a machine. People think you have to use a machine, and you don't, because this is all nothing but a dream. Remember that. This is all nothing but a dream.
Yeah.
And that's why you can do all the things you can do. That's why magic works. You know,
Is it something everyone can do if they
If you chose to take that as your path, then it's a possibility. I don't know about time travel. I doubt. I don't think so.
Okay.
But as far as having abilities are concerned, um, not everybody is born and able to use being telepathic. You know, you're born clairvoyant, or you're born this, or you're born that, and you have those abilities. You can further those abilities if that's what you want to do. Uh, if you don't want to do that, then you don't. Obviously, if you're afraid to do that, then you know you don't get it done. But
So with the time travel, it's because of that your mother's side of the family that you
and
can
my
do that.
mother's side of the family, and I'm personally think that the insectoids had something to do with it.
Okay.
To be 100% honest, that's what I think. Uh, because it's not anything I hear out of any other part of my family as an ability. So that's why I say the insectoids that were abducting me gave me that ability,
Interesting, man.
because they wanted to see what I would do with it. It was a project on their end. And if I were to tell anybody about it, other than on a show like now, okay, you're full of shit, get out of my face. You got a good imagination. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll read that book. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they don't believe a lick of it. And I don't care. I
Yeah.
honestly don't care.
But this is like I've experienced a lot of paranormal myself. I know there's a lot more to this world that we just don't understand and we're trying to learn. And I find it so fascinating, man. I find it so interesting.
Well,
What?
life's certainly not boring unless you want it
Nah,
to be.
not at all. 100% not at all. And when you start going down the rabbit holes and it's never ending. It's never ending, man.
That's correct. That's right.
What do you think? This might be a difficult question. What do you think their overall aim is with humans? What is, are they trying to?
That's up to you. That's all up to you. Every single person here, it's up to that person to give their life meaning. You come here without a purpose. It's up to you to make a purpose, because you are spirit. You're spirit, dude. That's what you are. You're spirit. You are part of what the Indians would call the Great Spirit. That's what you are. You are in a shell, and your soul is the part of you that dumbs down the vibration of your higher self so that you can reside in this body without burning up. The soul dies with the body, and the spirit is released to go back to your higher self and be with rejoined spirit. So, whatever the reason is that you're here, it's all on you. And you need to make the best of it. And if you want to turn around and waste it and go smoke crack, whatever, that's all on you too. But and the biggest person in the world that could justify whether you're a good person or not is you. So if you die and think that you deserve hell, that's what you're going to see, because that's what you think. There is no heaven, there is no hell, there just is. Okay. And so we went to the religious side anyway, even though I didn't want
That's
to.
that's cool, man.
Because
That's cool.
I'm going to say it. I'll say it right now. I don't care who I piss off. All religion, I don't care whose religion. All religion is bullshit. They all lie to you. They all lie to you because it's about control.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. No, interesting. No, it's cool, man. It's cool. This is a free space to share, man. That's cool.
well, I don't want to get on a soapbox and run my mouth about
That's
shit
cool,
that's
man.
gonna piss your listeners off, and
You're always going to annoy somebody, man. That's for sure.
Well, I'm good at
Yeah.
pissing people off. That's one of my better qualities. But see, I've got this little jar right here. You see that jar?
Yeah. What
It's
is
my
that?
jar. It's my jar of fucks.
Oh, I love that, man. That's
I'd
awesome.
give you one, but I
That
can't
is
put it.
awesome. I need one of them.
I'd give you a fuck, but I can't get it through the camera. So I don't give a fuck.
Oh, it's so cool. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Paul, I've loved talking to you tonight, man. It's super interesting, fascinating stuff. Um, I'm sure I'm going to think of another million questions to ask you. So I'd love to get you back on sometime if you'd be willing to
That's
come
fine.
back on, and we'll
That's
talk
fine.
more. But I've loved talking to you, man. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It's not easy talking about this stuff, and I really appreciate it. So
No,
thank you.
it's really not, and I don't go on very many shows anymore. The I had the radio station Black Swamp Radio. I don't know who went there and listened to it. Hopefully, a lot of you people did know who I am. Um, in case you don't remember, that's just fine too. But I got sick of the drama. I got between stations. I got sick of the backstabbing between people that ran stations and DJs or whatever you want to call them, radio hosts, whatever the politically correct name is nowadays. I
Yeah,
got sick of all of it, and I said, "To hell with it. I'm done. I'm through." And I really don't miss it too much. Every once in a while, it's nice to get on somebody's show though and talk about whatever we want to talk about, and
yeah,
hopefully somebody, I am an author. I've got my books on Amazon. There's Immortals Among Us and Twisted Life. Um, you can check those out on Amazon. They're not real expensive. I've got more coming out, and one of them is a short story book with a lot of spooky, scary stories in it.
oh, awesome,
And
man. That's what we like. That's what we like.
it's haunted stories of the around the area where I live.
Oh, wow.
It's, including my house. It's a haunted house I live in, by the way.
Oh man, oh we've definitely got to do another episode on that if you don't mind. Got to get you back on.
So yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome. Well, I'm so grateful that you've come on our show today, and you're welcome back on any time. Thank you very much, man.
Well,
Can,
thank you. I appreciate it. It's always been some a good thing for somebody to say, "Oh, you're welcome back on anytime."
yeah,
I've
for
had those
sure.
shows where I can't wait to click the button.
No, we appreciate you here, man. Thank you so much. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you if they want to find you?
uh, Paul Ieson, that's IESON on Facebook.
Awesome.
I only do Facebook anymore. So yeah, Paul Ieson, that's IESON. And Paul, it's Paul Ieson, author, or Paul Ieson, and then you can listen to my boring ass rattle off about whatever I decide to go off on
Well, that's
that day.
definitely not boring, man. It's definitely not boring. Paul, thank you so much, sir. I'd love to get you back on to talk about your haunted house and your spooky area. That'd be awesome sometime. Thank you very much, man. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you. You have a good one, and I'll see you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.